Welcome to the Physical Agility Test. The applicant physical agility test was developed to allow West Metro Fire Protection District to obtain a pool of trainable employees that are physically able to perform essential job tasks at fire and medical scenes. The physical agility test is comprised of two timed sections. Section 1 includes 6 separate fire ground tasks. Section 2 includes a single aerobic capacity evaluation called the wildland task. The applicant physical agility test is a score-based test, just like the written exam.
When applicants arrive, we want them to bring their driver's license, their medical clearance form signed by their physician. We also want them to think about hydrating prior to the 72 hours and meal planning so they give it their best shot during the course.
Station 1 is the tower climb, so you start over here on the first floor and you'll throw a hose pack over your shoulder and you'll run up the stairwell up to the 7th floor, throw the hose pack down, and then descend from there.
When the applicant takes their first step onto the staircase, the proctor will then start the stopwatch.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
So my strategy for station number 1 is I like to put the hose pack on my left shoulder, and then knowing that I can't touch the handrails and I have to touch every step allows me to kind of get that pump with my right arm, just knowing I'm right arm dominant. And then I like to tuck the hose pack kind of to my hip behind so it's not flopping around in front of me. And then another strategy that I use is I kind of hit those stairs at about 70% pace, not 100%. I'll see some people go out full sprint, they get to station 3, 4, and they're beat. So for me, I go to about a 70% pace when I'm running up those stairs, just knowing that I've saved myself for those other stations. So station number 2 is the equipment hoist. As you're coming down from station 1 onto that 3rd floor, you're grabbing the rope for station 2 to hoist your 50-pound bundle of hose.
All the way up, all the way up.
My strategy for doing that is I like to have my right foot forward and then my left foot back, and knowing that I get in kind of an athletic position squat here because we're going to be using some biceps and back muscles, but I want to kind of make it a little easier in that athletic stance. So I go here and I go hand over hand just to help allow me to pull it a little bit better. I know some people will pull this way, but for me and saving my arms a little bit more, I kind of like to go hand over hand and hoist. And then whoever's timing me will let me know when it's time to stop and drop the pack. And at that point, they say stop, good, just let go of the rope, and I immediately run down to station number 3.
After you drop the bag, so you're gonna go across the tower, down the staircase, come back underneath the stairwell to station 3, which is the hose hoist.
This is station 3. This is the pulley extension. What's going to happen here is you're going to run through the tunnel and your timer will hand you this rope right here. You're going to go hand over hand on the way up. Once the hose reaches all the way to the top, you're going to turn your hands this way and go hand under hand on the way down. Once the hose reaches the ground, you're going to take off to the next station, which is station 4. Some tips for this station is the first one, you're going to want to grab the rope as high as possible and really use your body weight to pull down on the rope. This exercise is going to be mostly your shoulders, your back, and your biceps, so you're really going to want to use those 3 muscle groups to pull as hard as you can and get that rope to the top as fast as possible. This is station 4. This will be the hose drag. Some tips here are to grab the hose about 5 feet back so that the nozzle is almost touching the ground. What you're going to do is you're going to start by running towards that line down there. You're going to really want to drive through your quads on the balls of your feet. One tip here is to make sure that you keep your momentum and you don't stop, because then it's harder to get going again.
So when you come flying into station 4, you're going to grab the hose about 5 feet back from the nozzle. That way the nozzle is just hanging about 6 inches off the ground. When you take off, you're going to take off with the forward lean on the balls of your feet, and at about 20-25 feet, it's going to feel like an elephant jumps on your back. You're going to have about 50 feet to go. You're going to have to really dig in and drive hard, and it's just a gut check from that point on. When you finish at the white stripe, you're just going to lay the hose down and not show water.
Station 5 is the dummy drag. So as you're transitioning from the hose drag, you're coming over here, picking up your dummy at the line and dragging him 75 feet to the next line. Good strategy that I like to use is push the dummy all the way up in a seated position. I like to wrap my arms around his chest and grab and then pull. Other techniques that I've found to be helpful, just different body styles, height, strength, is kind of that roll technique up above the shoulders. Be able to roll that if you're able to capture that webbing underneath, and then get as much of that kind of body weight on your thighs, dragging, and then that creates less friction for dragging that 75 feet.
So the dummy drag is really the most strategic part of the physical agility test. You got to have what you're going to do really dialed in your mind. When you approach the dummy, you got to have great ergonomics. You got to drop your glutes down. You got to power up through your quads. You got to have a tight grip with your hands and just focus through that 75 feet.
On section number 6 of the PAT, you will pick up this fan. You'll run it 75 feet down, around a box, and 75 feet back. Once you get back, you'll place the fan back on the box in upright position, and your time for the first person will end, and you'll proceed to the wild end portion of the test.
When you come into the last section, which is the fan carry, you got to find that energy. Your legs have a rubber effect. You're exhausted mentally and physically. You got to power through it. This is a chance and an opportunity for you to decrease your time, so you want to jog or sprint if you can, and sell out because you're going to rest in about 30 seconds.
This is the last portion of our test, so one of the strategies that I suggest is really focus on getting that fan in the right position. Really focus and recognize that this is the last portion, so getting it ergonomically onto your back so that way you can take a good lap with the most amount of speed possible and get it back so that way you can have a little bit of a break before the next portion.
So at the completion of section 1, you're going to have 2 minutes time to get down to the wildland portion. During that 200-foot walk, you're going to really focus on deep breathing, long strides, mentally and physically just getting back together. At about 1 minute and 30 seconds, they're going to ask you to put the 28-pound vest on, and then you're going to get that nice and tight. You're going to get to the start line and be prepared to go. When putting on the wildland vest, it is strategic. You want to make sure that you have it at the comfort level that feels good to you. So whether you want the vest really tight, whether you want it loose, you have a little bit of time to play around with that. So make sure that you feel comfortable before you go. So when you're about to take off, you want to come out of that starting gate like a jet. You want to be almost to a full sprint right away. This is where you're going to maximize your score. The goal is obviously to get 100. You can literally change your score 10 or 15 points by sprinting versus jogging. So it's a quarter mile, you have to sell out, you have to leave it all on the line. So when you finish, you're probably not talking, you're probably not breathing very well, there's going to be a little recovery period, but you know you did your best.
I am one of the regular proctors out here doing the PAT every year.
Here we go, drop the hose pack.
Basically, as the proctor, we'll be with you throughout the entire test with a timer and just following you through, making sure that you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing and kind of just guiding you and coaching you through each stage that we have.
The biggest draw for me with fire was the physical demands. I've always enjoyed playing sports, working in team aspects, pushing my body beyond what I think it's capable of, and knew that that would be a really good fit for me. I really appreciate the fire service and how much a lot of us take care of our body, knowing that we don't just show up to do our PAT once a year and push our bodies for that, but every day, every time we come on shift, we're getting unique calls. We don't know exactly what's going to be required of us, so making sure that we're taking care of our bodies for the public is a really big draw for me.
My name is Marina Tricarco, and I'm a firefighter here at West Metro. I got placed here as an intern coming out of college and was convinced to do a ride-along. My degree was in exercise science, so when I was an intern here, my job was basically just to do personal training and nutrition for the firefighters. As I mentioned, I was convinced to do a ride-along, so after that I was convinced that this was the job for me. The thing that I love most about this job is that it's constantly different every day, no days are the same, and it keeps you in shape.
My name is Jacob Butler. I went to CSU as a health and exercise science student and had the opportunity to come to West Metro and do my internship here. When I was interning here, I was able to see the culture at West Metro and I fell in love with it. I was fortunate enough to get hired after some time and have now been working here for about 3 years and continue to fall in love with the organization more and more.
Since getting into the fire service, I've explored a number of ways to stay fit. I really enjoy rucking, running, and biking for my cardio. I still like to get in the gym for powerlifting and strength conditioning to keep kind of an overall platform for my fitness. For new recruits or people coming in to take the PAT, I recommend having a well-rounded fitness base. We all have our superpowers that develop, whether that's heavier in cardio or in strength. But to start, I think just having a really well-rounded base of both strength and cardio is going to serve them best. As you're preparing, don't forget that the PAT is only 1/3 of your total score. Make sure to put plenty of effort into your written test as well as your oral board preparation.
The final note I'm going to leave you with is fitness and wellness. You have to embrace it when you enter the fire service. It's a part of your everyday life in the station. It's a culture in the fire service. And you just have to come on board knowing that that's a 30, 40-year commitment. You just have to keep in mind, you're not training for a test, you're preparing for a lifelong career.